got the left side on the left of the horse. You really want to be as square as you can. Thank you, sweetheart. That is so polite. I know I've just spoilt that squareness a little bit. Oh, look. Good boy. If you absolutely can't get the horse square because all four legs can't be on the ground together, then I try and get the front square for the front and the back square for the back. It's not ideal, but sometimes you have to do the best you can. So I take my 3 fingers behind the back of the scapula, and that's where I want to line the flexi curve up. You need to have it vertical, so you need to check that your eyes do that as well. And you just kind of take your fingers down. If you prod kind of too much, you can unduly influence the shape, and then ideally, good lad, you get a helper or the owner to come and hold this side. Thanks, Emma. Oh, very much, Owner. And you'll go round, and you'll repeat, and you will find that one shoulder is probably further back than the other one. There we go. Thank you, sweetheart. Thank you, Owner. And now we take it off. Carry it carefully to the cut. Try not to get it turned round. Now, on the pads we have, because I need it, you have got little lines down the side. And it doesn't matter which ones you use, but I use them just to try and even up my flexi curve. You've got a little dot in the middle. There we go. And you can start to see, as soon as you take the curve off, you can start to see the shape. But once you've drawn around it, you start to get information about the horse. Bear in mind, it's information from the moment you did that template, so take it in a wider context. But this is rather lovely. He's possibly a little bit wider on the right than the left. Possibly different muscling, could be the way he has his rib cage when he stands, like we all kind of, you know. But that is fairly nice and even. So then we go back. Let's kind of open it back up. Hello, sweetheart. You got funny ears. You got funny ears this morning. Right. Okay. So I will then look at T18. You have a cold bottom, sweetheart. Mind if I take this off? No, it's on. Okay. Sorry about your poor cold bottom. Right. So methods of finding T18. We can, good lad, find the curve of the rib. Now, some people will then follow that angle all the way up. Some people will go up into the apaxial muscle, so you follow the rib until you can't find it because the muscle is covering. And that is then likely to be L1, L2. So what you can then do is find the dip between the lumbar and the sacral vertebrae, which is actually quite hard with you, isn't it, Sunshine? If you can find it, and bear in mind, that the last lumbar vertebrae might be too short or too deep down the field, but you can count then forward 6, unless it's narrow. You might have little different horses who don't have quite the number of bones, etc., that they should have. Sometimes you can feel a bony change where the thoracic turns into the lumbar. Sometimes you can feel a bony change, but it's nothing to do with the different types of vertebrae. It's just how the processes are shaped. Some people also, you take, have I heard it called the cowlick? So the 2 directions of hair sometimes correlates with where T18 most probably is. My first method is usually to go up into the apaxial muscle and then count forward 1. And if everything else points to that position, that's where I'm going to guess T18 is, because that's really all we can do, I think. Okay. So we do the same thing, we smooth it round. This is more likely to stay in place. Make sure it's vertical. Make sure the horse is square. Squarer than I've just worked with. Yeah, that's sweetheart. You like standing like that, don't you? We'll leave him as he is for a minute, otherwise it may take too long. So hold it on top, smooth, good gut sounds. There you go, sweetheart. That's not bad. And then we'll take that off. And draw it down, and when you've popped it on your pad, make sure that you write whatever you want. I always write T18, line it up with one of the little guidelines. Okay. Then we repeat in the midpoint. So, how long? You can often, if they're not clipped, you can sometimes see the lines you've got. But I will take the midpoint between the T18 and the front, and we just do the same. And usually it'll stay in place. There we go. Good boy. Okay. And you can kind of bounce it on your finger and have a little peep as you walk over, and sometimes you'll be able to see straight away that there's something interesting happening. There we go. I see. I always write T18 there, and I forgot. Okay. There we go. That's the mid. And then I do the top line one. This is quite tricky. Because it requires, oh sorry my sweet lad, it requires that I replicate the exact angle of the horse's back. So the other thing, if you've got little marks along your flexi curve, you can use one of those to line up with the front and the back templates you've seen, so, taken already. So this is just above the first template, and let's just say this is where we think T18 is, and then I take this is where it gets a little tricky, a little bit subjective, and I place it on here. You can line up the points where the first template was, either with one of the marks or the front of the page. So we always do a little mark where T18 is, and at the front. And then you look at the horse. It's more or less right. What this can tell you is whether they are getting stronger, I think. So if the next time I saw him and he was more like that, then I know something's changed, and hopefully I can tie that to a positive effect of the saddle. So there we go. So then you can look at them and you can discuss what you see with your customer. So this is a pretty good even horse, unfortunately. But there are small changes. Now we know that he wasn't stood straight. Exactly, but you can, if you come and have a look, you can see slightly more of an angle on the left side of the horse.
Perhaps on one side and the other.
Yeah, exactly. And often I'll find that it's the mid template that shows the greatest difference, and that will correlate with the side the saddle is moving to, even though intuitively you might think the back or the front. Okay, that's about it, I think, Heather.
Thank you, Catherine.